What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Loop Podcast, episode 57 of the College Loop Podcast. And I am again joined today by Harrison Tarr. Tarr, how you doing, buddy?
Doing well, man. A lot of busy news, a lot of football news coming up, and this show is going to be pretty packed. So let's get this show on the road on episode 57. Our last episode was episode 55, and you guys can fill in the gaps if you guys have witnessed the forgotten episode. Then congrats, you saw briefly lived, a short-lived College Loop exclusive. So let's talk Auburn football, and revisit some things that we spoke about on Tuesday, and we'll do it a little bit differently this time. All that to say, TJ Finley is in the transfer portal. That's where we're going to start, Dylan. And I need to, before we discuss some things that you and I mentioned earlier today on the Auburn Daily Show, as this is being recorded, obviously yesterday as this show is being released, but your favorite TJ Finley moment at Auburn was blank.
Him transferring.
Okay.
Out.
That was such a bad answer. That was such a bad answer.
There was rarely a time where I was rooting for TJ Finley.
No, that was such a bad answer. Like the TJ Finley experience was interesting. It was fascinating. A 3-star transfer from Texas, from LSU rather, that had the Cam Newton frame comparisons, and then, quite frankly, just wasn't that good at football. And then there was the bird scooter incident, and it was just an up and down and up and down. And at one point, I think TJ Finley's dad went on, and maybe I can't recollect off the top of my head for sure which Auburn-based podcast it was.
Was
But went on what'd you say?
It was Locked On.
I think it was Locked On, and went on an Auburn podcast and talked about how TJ was him and a competitor, which I mean that's what dads do. But it was a wild, man. It was a weird time. It really was a weird experience to live through, and all of it really stemming back from, we mentioned it earlier, Dylan, his saving the day against Georgia State, leading up to the "We Want TJ" chants coming from the student section, leading up to a lot of people getting behind him being the starting quarterback for the Auburn Tigers just this past year. And what a roller coaster ride the TJ Finley experience was. I do believe this is his last Power 5 stop. I don't know that there's I guess it's not in the cards, I don't think, for him to return to another Power 5 school, maybe somewhere in the Pac-12 or the ACC. All that to say, though, I cannot believe you wasted your favorite TJ Finley moment on him entering the transfer portal.
I mean, my second thing probably would have been the whole scooter incident, but now
It was hilarious.
He's nothing now but a future trivia question at a Skybar or a 1716 as who's the starting quarterback for the 2022 season and the last year of Brian Harson's career. And you're right. They're long gone are the days of Power 5 coaches looking at TJ Finley and going, maybe I can fix him. There's no fixing it. There was none.
Well, it's fascinating too, Dylan. The TJ Finley, I don't know, man. I mean, he definitely couldn't have walked into, in my opinion, he couldn't have walked into a worse situation than he did when he transferred to Auburn. I think that transferring to Auburn under Brian Harsin in general is a death sentence for a lot of careers in large. I mean, with the exceptions of, your Derek Halls, he was already there beforehand, but there were some players that were Malzahn disciples, rather, if you will, that were fine under the Harsin tenure. There were other guys that fell off or they transferred in and it didn't help them. And I think TJ Finley certainly fell victim of, I mean, I think there's a combination between skill set and circumstance, right? There's got to be some kind of scale, because I'm not so sure that TJ Finley wouldn't have even been better in a Gus Malzahn offense. And I don't think Gus Malzahn by any stretch of the imagination is a good guy at developing quarterbacks. Matter of fact, I think he's kind of the Greek god at having them digress. But I've got actual real numbers to back that up. But
yeah,
that's neither here nor there. The Finley experience at Auburn was weird. A lot of it didn't make sense, and it's over. He's on his way out, and we've been saying this for weeks and on weeks now, Dylan, about when will TJ Finley hit the transfer portal, and now we've got our answer. And your answer was what? Today's May 3rd, as we're recording this, and he hit the transfer portal yesterday, right?
May 2nd.
Or is that today? May 2nd. So this whole week is a fever dream to me.
Yeah, there's so much has been going on. Auburn decided to get weird at the weirdest times, per the usual. I think we went like a whole week without getting any like new Auburn football news in general,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden, like I think Casey Thompson was
the straw
what
that broke
broke
the camel's back.
that broke the dam, and then everything started coming out. TJ Finley goes, Auburn picks up another transfer guy who we're going to talk about in a little bit, and of course, quarterbacks possibly coming to the Plains.
Well, let's talk quarterbacks coming to the Plains. And before we get into this, Dylan, I am going to mention this. I said this. I guess I said vice versa before the show. But on the Tuesday show, we misspoke, and conveyed it as though Payton Thorne and Casey Thompson were. I almost said Keegan Thompson. This is not Saturday Night Live. Casey Thompson were both on campus on Saturday. They weren't, and you know what? We're sorry. We're not perfect, and we didn't mean to convey it that way. That was just a genuine misfire on our part on all accords here. And you know what? If you're going to be that pissed off, unsubscribe. I'm sorry. I really don't care. I'm sorry, Dale. I know that you're going to be upset. You have to do a TikTok dance, by the way.
I'm aware.
Thanks for the 200 subs, by the way, guys. I'm not trying to scare y'all off, but don't hold that grudge against us, please. People make mistakes. There are other people that I could call out by name that I'm going to choose not to, that I think make mistakes way more often than we do. But all that to say, I mean, there's a lot of traction with Payton Thorne. all that said, right? I mean, because of course, right? We screwed that one up, and then 24 hours, Brian Stoltz of rivals, Auburn rivals, auburnsports.com goes out and tweets. I guess that's 72 hours after this, but who gives a shit? That Payton Thorne was like 99.9% for sure coming to Auburn, and then Auburn's rivals is talking everywhere. People are talking all over. Like credible sources are talking everywhere about Payton Thorne's coming to Auburn. Payton Thorne's coming to Auburn. Okay, so I don't really have a follow-up comment on my previous statement because I don't have any grounds or traction, and we certainly don't want to act like we know things that we don't. I never meant to make it seem that way. But I'm going to go ahead and trade into this to this waters here. Payton Thorne is a clear choice one for Hugh Freeze and company. I don't think they're making bones about it, right, Dylan?
I mean, it's facts. I think after
Well, we know it now.
Yeah, for sure. I think the past hour or so before we started recording this episode, it just really blew up. It just blew the ever-loving crap up on Twitter. Payton Thorne's face, name everywhere. People are going to his Instagram and searching who he's following, who we've now learned he's following Rivaldo Fairweather and Auburn Football. Might be more now. That was just a screenshot that I saw on Twitter. I did not go do it. I at least have somewhat of a life than going to
We've also
potential
stayed a little
pickups.
clear of the subject for the past few hours.
Yeah, we did. But for all extensive purposes, we have nothing to go off of that he won't be a future quarterback at Auburn. We are thinking and seeing everywhere that everyone else says that he is going to be the future quarterback of the Auburn Tigers.
Numerous
So we're going
sources
to
not
talk
named the
about
College
it.
Loop.
We're going to talk about it on today's show for the first time ever mentioning Payton Thorne on any College Loop episode currently
Never been done before.
on streaming.
Never been done before.
So yeah, Payton Thorne is a former quarterback of the Michigan State Spartans. If you were unaware, best season was the 2021 under Kenneth when he had Kenneth Walker to hand the ball off to and dump it off to as well. And I mean, you look at it from that standpoint, he lost Kenneth Walker, had a regressive season, and that happens. And then if he were to come to Auburn, per every other source but us,
if as other sources not named the College Loop have been reporting he is coming to Auburn,
he would have running backs waiting for him like Jarquez Hunter, Brian Battie, Damari Alston, and Jeremiah Cobb, and Sean Jackson, all eagerly waiting for their future QB1 to hand the ball off to.
Hypothetical QB1. Hypothetical. I would just like to put that out there.
This episode's a mess.
Just to make sure I cover my ass. And to be fair, I'm not getting defensive. I'm just actually covering our butts. But yeah, no, as you mentioned it, Dylan, the big thing about Payton Thorne is can you get him back to 2021, right?
Yeah.
And can you get him back to that form where he really was one of the premier quarterbacks in the Big Ten, if not, upper echelon of the country, just numbers put up that year alone. I think that if you bring him to Auburn, he's got, like you mentioned, the backfield that has the receiving capacities, and quite possibly could bring one of his buddies from Michigan State if things were to fall in line to go help out the receiving core, who just lost no one that I really think was actually going to get meaningful snaps, but did lose Landon King, and a receiving core that's unproven and people are not sure about. I do think that this is one of those instances, Dylan, and I know that we've talked about Casey Thompson, who I think is still, if things don't work out with Payton Thorne, very much still in the mix for Auburn. But it does feel like this is one of those situations that if you can go get Thorne, you're probably buying yourself a couple wins, maybe 3. Thoughts?
Oh yeah, I completely agree. And I mean, I think I got the year of eligibility messed up on the last episode. Thank God it's not there anymore.
What episode?
Payton Thorne has 2 more years of eligibility as well. To Casey Thompson's 1. So Payton Thorne, I think, would also be the better choice just because he gives you another year to move along with Walker White and get him a little bit more ready to play. But I think Payton Thorne, in the system that Hugh Freeze would want to run, I think of the 2, Payton Thorne does give you those extra wins. He's not much of a rusher, but he did see he did get 4 rushing touchdowns in 2021, his best statistical season, which is one we're going to talk about probably the most, just because that's when he had more of the star talent. And I got to be honest with y'all, I think those Auburn teams probably more talented than most Michigan State teams that we've seen the past few
Not
years.
that 2021 team.
Well, outside of Kenneth Walker, when Kenneth Walker went down, that team was not very good. We saw that happen against Michigan. Or not Michigan. I forgot who they played with it without Kenneth Walker, but this is an Auburn podcast. I think that he would give you 3. If you want to go off the 6-6, just base level, I think Payton Thorne gets you to that 9-win total right there, and that's what I've been saying all along. If Auburn get the right guy in, Payton Thorne gives you that 9-win total, possibly 10.
Yeah.
If one of those potential rival home games towards the end of the season
Not
were to go along. But yeah, I have to agree. I think Payton Thorne does probably give you a better chance at winning. Plus, if you look at it comparing to Casey Thompson, Payton Thorne didn't have the talent that Nebraska had last season. Whether or not you want to talk about the coaches, Tuck is no longer coming. If you're a Michigan State fan, sorry. Payton Thorne does not make near as amount of mistakes as Casey Thompson does. There was a lot of games last season where Casey Thompson threw 2 or more interceptions. And Payton Thorne, I don't know if he had a game last season where he did. He may have, that I'm thinking of. He had 2, Minnesota and Akron. Oof. Yeah, but other than that, I mean, he played better defenses where he didn't throw one or he only threw one. From what I've seen, but 19 touchdowns and 11 interceptions. It's not the greatest thing ever, but that's also a very lackluster Michigan State team. That was a regressive type beat, and if I have to trust one head coach with the quarterback, I would rather put my quarterback's hands in the arms of Hugh Freeze rather than Mel Tucker as it stands right now.
I was wondering how long we were going to get without Mel Tucker's. Let me try that again. Mel Tucker slander. I had to reboot there for a second. Yeah, no, I agree completely.
Oh, you got 2. You got 2 in that rant.
Yeah, I know. You're having fun. You're having fun here, and I'm not. I don't want to ramble too long, but I do think that should this happen, and if it does happen, maybe we'll put out a reaction video. Maybe we won't. Who's to say? Maybe someone will beat us to it. Maybe someone will tell us that we can't. So we'll find out. I'm just kidding. I'm being facetious. Nobody told us we couldn't. Nobody made us remove the alleged episode 56. We made this conscious decision on our own. We did. Anyways, moving forward. There were some other pieces, some other news within the Auburn football program, Dylan, about adding some additional pieces in some positions of need. Talk to me a little bit about some help that Hugh Freeze and company got on the defensive side of the ball, especially pairing up with Elijah McAllister, bringing back some experience. So let's hear it. Talk to me.
Yeah, so Auburn picked up Jalen McLeod on May 2nd, I believe, as well. That news broke around the same time as TJ Finley leaving.
Yeah, they were like back to back, bang bang.
Yeah, and so App State edge rusher got 6 sacks last year, 2 of which were against Texas A&M in that game where App State took down the Aggies in Kyle Field in College Station, Texas, making everyone realize that Texas A&M probably shouldn't get the hype that they did. And if you look back even further than that, he did the same thing versus Miami in 2021. So the dude knows how to step up in the biggest stage in college football at any given time. And you know what? A little fun belt never hurt anybody. And I think he brings you a solid depth piece right behind Elijah McAllister or in front of Elijah McAllister. But this does, I believe, improve on losing Dylan Brooks. I think I said it best on
100%.
the Auburn Daily Show. I said you're losing, you're changing out potential for, and I forgot how I worded it, for already dadgummit. I can't remember what I said, but
Do you have to
potential
read it as
talent.
well?
Yeah, I should have taken a nap. I
We're
swear.
lagging on here today, dude.
Yeah, but you're trading out potential at the edge from Dylan Brooks to an already uh, statement player in Jalen McLeod, and I think that's what I want to say for that one. But yeah, you're getting a guy to kind of put Keldrick Falk a little bit further behind in the depth chart, just as a chance to get him more ready for whatever it is going to be his time, either that be later in
And
this
it's coming.
season or next season. And believe me, he's going to see the field this year. Don't think this is a way of shoving him off the depth chart. He is going to be on the field. And whether that only be for 4 games, that means you get 4 more seasons of him right after this one.
That's
So,
right.
yeah, big pickup, especially after how slow this transfer cycle has been.
Yeah, well, it's been slow for everyone, Dylan, and we've talked about this
Yeah.
a few times. I think that to this point this year, or actually, let me rephrase this here. To this point this offseason, since the naming of Hugh Freeze as head coach at Auburn and determining, what that transition looks like and his ability to identify positions of need and actually address positions of need, I think that to this point, Dylan, that's what I've been the most impressed by, and maybe it's just because I went to Auburn for 4 years, and ultimately, graduated from there and know so many Auburn fans. I think a lot of Auburn fans are just refreshed to see a coach addressing positions of need.
Oh, yeah.
And that's been something that Auburn's not seen since mid-Malzahn, really. And I say that just not to throw coaches under the bus or not to sit here and sound like I'm, I would know better how to run these football programs than Joe Schmo, because I wouldn't. But it's been refreshing to watch and say, okay, anyone can go make a splash quarterback transfer when you're a Power 5 school like at Auburn that has history, has tradition, and your football program, people want to play for you. That's not a problem. But if it doesn't matter how good the quarterback is, if the offensive line in front of him is not good, it doesn't matter how good that offense is if the defense can't, stop anybody from scoring, running up the scoreboard. I've been impressed with the overall overarching theme with this coaching staff, and then their mentality to this point, and then obviously this transfer window is closing, right? But to this point, their emphasis on replacing every group and getting better in every position, not just, oh, this guy happens to play this position and wants to come to Auburn. I think that's kind of a fundamental difference that we've seen to this point. All that being said, that's where I want to leave football today, Dylan. I want to flip over to men's basketball. Got some really, really big, exciting news. I know you are pumped up to see. The Bucket Man is back.
Yes.
The Berminator will be returning for his final year of eligibility in 2023, 2024, gearing up for what might wind up being one of the most interesting Auburn basketball seasons in recent memory. When I say interesting, I'm having a hard time visualizing it right now, and I'm not exactly sure how this is all going to shake out. And I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing. So, Dill, how excited are you the Berminator's back?
I am ecstatic about the returning of the Berminator. He's hopefully we've seen a stagnant, or not a stagnant, but a steady improvement of his play throughout the last few years, and maybe this is the peak. This is going to be where Lior Berman puts his name in the College Basketball Hall of Fame. Like he throws everyone, like blows everyone out of the water. He's gonna break all the 3-point shooting records. It might happen. We don't know, because I mean, like you said, this basketball season is going to get weird. I feel like, because
it is going to get weird. And let me read out to you some stats here. In 2019, 2020, and Lior Berman's freshman year, he appeared in 2 games. In 2020 to 2021, he appeared in 11 games. In 2021 to 2022, he appeared in 20 games. In 2022 to 2023, he appeared in 25 games. So one can only assume that Lior Berman's going to be playing in at least 30 games this year, which means that his minutes, and if you look at his as minutes trickle up, they go from 3 to 30 in his second year, 8.3 averaging I guess 8.3 his third year, and then he's averaging 9.4 last year. One can only assume that Lior Berman is going to be like a 13-minute guy.
I mean, it's starting to look like it, and I mean,
it's just math. It's science.
And with the lack of the transfer portal getting hot on the hardwood for the men's side, at least the women's Coach Jay has been killing it over there, but we don't know if Matthew Cleveland's going to commit anytime soon.
There are other names too that we're just not that other people are talking about. Simply not us, not the College Loop. There are other names.
We have leeway. We have public domain with Matthew Cleveland because
right.
everyone's talking about him.
That's right.
But we don't know when he's going to commit. He keeps every single time he posts on his Instagram story, it's always something Auburn related. It feels like, but we don't know when. We don't know where. We don't know how long we got to wait. It could be the day before the season starts. To Matthew Cleveland,
dude, I thought for a second when you said it could be the day before the season starts. I thought you said he could be dead. I was like, I don't know about that. I feel like that's got more good. But no, that's me being deaf. No, I mean there are other names in the men's basketball transfer portal. I don't think that it's closed yet. I don't think it's done. I think there's some other names that Auburn's waiting on, and some other moving pieces and lots of other things, and waiting to hear about guys who are going to return from the draft. We've not heard about that yet. That's going to be like the next wave of Auburn off-season news in terms of sports that aren't in season right now. So still very much holding out for that. In the meantime, sorry, I was like choking on air for a second there. That was awesome. In the meantime, how do we spend our time? Watching Auburn baseball and Auburn softball. Auburn baseball, first off, this is just badass. First ever Eagle flight at the baseball stadium for a baseball game. That's sick. Also bring it to Jane B. Moore Field, just saying. This is dope, Dylan. And on this the crowd this weekend between baseball playing the number one team in the country and graduation weekend in Auburn, I pray for anyone who doesn't want to get a parking ticket.
Oh, I didn't even know that. I'm at to change up some plans because there ain't no way it's going to be hard to park or anywhere in Auburn that weekend.
You will catch me parking in Resident Overflow this weekend.
Catch me parking a mile away and walking.
I will be parking at Evergreen on South College Street. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it's huge, and it just shows how hyped up Auburn is after beating number 2 South Carolina, and then having the welcome number 1 right back. And obviously, this is it's a great way of doing it. It's a way of getting people hyped up for the game, just in general, because it's already the best tradition in college football. Come at me if you don't.
Why not make it the best tradition in college baseball?
Exactly. But yeah, it's gonna be a great atmosphere all weekend long, and no matter where you are in Auburn, whether that's in Neville Arena or Jane B. Moore or Plainsview Park.
Whether it's cheering for your graduate or cheering for Auburn baseball or cheering for Auburn softball, you can't really go wrong. All right, so the atmosphere is gonna be crazy on Saturday night. Auburn's gonna be packed all week, and people are going to pack Plainsman Park this weekend specifically, regardless, because they're playing the number one team in the country with the biggest stakes of the season at this point. If you win this one, you're in incredibly good shape. All of that to be said, I know we said it last week and you went and won the series, Auburn. Sell your soul and win the first game. I'm going to stand by this, Dylan. Take Tommy Vale, throw your entire bullpen, pray to God that the bats can stay on top. If you take 1 from 3 against LSU, granted, I know you're at home. You've done remarkably well, and you're helping your RPI. Where's your headspace at?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the same thing. Sell your soul for that first game. Tommy Vale is the hottest hand in that bullpen, and I was shocked to see that Auburn had some other solid pitchers last weekend. And you got to be honest, it's going to be hard for me to believe they can repeat. It's going to be hard. But I'll be there day 1, day 2, and day 3. Still acting like Auburn had a chance. But yeah, you still won. You're in great shape. Tommy Vale, again, cannot stress this enough, is the hottest hand in this bullpen. And I wish that it was possible to get his arm rested up for all 3 days.
Can Tommy Vale pitch with both arms?
Sources are saying. Maddie Pinta is going to be pitching on Saturday.
You know, I'm so glad that you mentioned Maddie Pinta. I'm so glad that you brought her up because I was actually about to mention to you as we switch over to softball here. Did you realize I somehow this slipped through my? I guess I'm not a good big numbers guy. All right, I got my degree in journalism. I only read numbers to determine which score is bigger than the other score, or in golf, which score is lower than the other score. All right,
Yeah.
that's how my brain functions. So I'm a little smooth brain when it comes to math. But did you realize that if Auburn sweeps Mississippi State this weekend, they'll have won 40 games in the regular season? 40.
I did not.
4-0 in the regular season. I'm not asking for a sweep. I mean, Auburn fans don't be ridiculous. I mean, sweep's very plausible, and it seems more than capable of sweeping anybody. But just make sure you win the series first and foremost. 40 regular season wins. I would have to go back and look. I would venture to guess the last time Auburn did that would be 2016.
Yeah. You keep talking. I'll go
And
find that for you real
I'll
quick.
keep riffing on that to that credit, because I assume Dylan's giving me the green light that he's going to look that up and see the last time that Auburn had a 40-win regular season for college softball. And it all starts in the circle. You need what was it?
Last season when they went 40-17.
Did they win the last game of the wait, no. Regular season, not postseason. Not counting SEC tournament wins. Yep.
Yeah. Oh, well, dang.
Yep. Yeah, huh?
They counted 37-15. Wait, 37-15, and they went 40-17.
They went
We're
40
37-15 right now. It's 40-17. So yeah,
a year ago.
yeah,
You're counting the SEC tournament win.
brother.
That's not regular season. Anyways, we'll circle back to that one on Sunday. That feels like a good Sunday conversation, unless Dylan's really that crazy about it. Dylan, it starts in the circle. Maddie Penta has got to turn that circle into the Pentagon. We know she can. On the opposite side, we sound like a freaking broken record. This team's got to hit 1 through 9. You can't be turned into just a handful of girls every weekend. And this has been my one gripe with this team this year is it comes in waves and then it diminishes and is gone into hiding. And to be fair, their counterparts at on the baseball field have been doing damn near the same thing. It's been either they come in waves and you pour on the runs, or you get blanked. And you really need to figure out a way that you can average somewhere between 4 and 6, maybe even 3 and 5, in that 3 to 5 run range, somewhere in there, on a routine basis. If you can put up 5 runs a game, you don't lose that often with this pitching rotation. That's certainly the case coming down the stretch here. More importantly, Dylan, Auburn's already secured a first-round bye for the SEC tournament. So how important is it that they build momentum here and continue that so they can continue that in and also not slip back into that rest of that field?
Yeah, and just to answer the question from earlier, 2017 was the last time they had 40 wins in the regular season.
There we go. I was okay.
It went back-to-back years.
Wasn't trying to make myself sound like I'm always right, but I felt like it would have had to been 16 or 17 regular season.
2016, 58 wins. 2017, 49 wins.
Good God, that's 16 team. Oh,
and that's not me taking off the tournament wins. So I mean, this 40 plus either way.
Right.
But,
sure.
But yeah, you're looking at it. Yeah, you got to get more consistent. 1 through 9 on the bats. Sometimes you have 1 through 3 going off, and then you're silenced from the rest of them. And especially on Saturdays, because the last couple weekends we've seen where the non-Maddie Penta pitchers have kind of been out of it at times. We've had a couple shining moments from Shelby Lowe. Last weekend we had a little bit of a rough stretch with Weidra and Rolfe. So you just got to pick that up, get ready for the tournament, use Saturday as a confidence boost for the backup pitchers. And of course, yeah, you got to get the bats back up. I would say at least 4 through 7 need to get it up.
You want them to catch fire this weekend. This is actually the most important weekend in the position you're in the semi-driver seat that Auburn's sitting in. You want them to catch fire now so they can ride that into the postseason. And Auburn's got the talent, all the talent in the world to do it. So it'll be a matter of time. Very, very interesting. If you're going to be on the planes this weekend, please stay safe. Congratulations, graduates. Very, very excited for you guys. You guys busted your ass. War Eagle forever. I'm really, really proud of every single one of you guys, especially the folks that we know that are graduating. We're really, really proud of you folks. And just know that no matter how much you talk about that Auburn family, that it's true, and you also are expected to donate every year. So that's a couple of things that'll never change. I'm Harrison Tarr, by Harrison Tarr on the Bird app, and instead of plugging the rest of my podcasting work like I usually do, I'm just going to tell everybody: take care of yourself, take care of each other, check in on your people. And Dylan, I'll let you get us out of here.
Yeah, well, I'm Dylan Larck at You Boy the Tank on Twitter. If you're watching, it's just right there. It's right there. And if you want me to spell it out for you, it's at YABOI the Tank. Catch me on the Auburn Daily Show every Monday with Lance Stahl and on Wednesday as well with usually Harrison Tarr. And you also catch me on the College Loop right here every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And you can also go follow us literally everywhere. If you want to listen to it, you got some Spotify, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Social media, you got us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and of course on YouTube. Make sure to go like, comment, and subscribe. We might start doing a question of the day. So ask us questions in the comments. We'll answer to the best of our ability on the show, as long as it has some weight behind it, please.
Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Thank you guys for 200 subs. Dylan forgot to tell you we don't have a MySpace.
Ah, dang it. Well, sadly, I forgot that we don't have a MySpace.
This has been the College Loop Podcast.